Well, welcome in, folks, to another great episode of College Crossfire. This is the third one of the social distancing time right now, and we have a very special episode today because we have some of the great TSTV alumni with us, and very honored to be sharing the studio with them today. First, let's get right into it. Everybody right here, please, one by one, state your name and what you guys do right now for work. And as the show goes on, we'll get a little more about your time at TSTV, but just a quick intro to let some of the younger TSTV viewers, some of our other Facebook viewers know who you are. So, Jonathan, let's start with you.
So yeah, my name is Jonathan Polasek. I was actually graduated from Texas in 2019, and right now I'm out here in Midland, Texas. I'm the nightside reporter for News West 9, and it's just great to be here.
Awesome, thanks, Jonathan. Let's go to Mark next. Mark, why don't you introduce yourself?
So I am a class of 2018 graduate from the University of Texas. I walked into the TSTV studios in fall of 2014, and I was there for every single semester during my years at Texas. I'm now working in South Bend, Indiana as the sports director for the NBC affiliate covering Notre Dame football, Notre Dame basketball, men's and women's, and then, of course, local high school as well. But it's great to be back on the airwaves, man. I can't tell you how nice it is.
Well, thanks, Mark. We're very excited to have you as well. Next, John, why don't you go ahead?
Hey, guys. Name's John. Graduated from UT in 2014. Currently working up in Bristol, Connecticut at ESPN. I'm an associate producer there. Work on the 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock Sports Center for you guys. I've done shows like Game Day and whatnot. And what's funny, at TSTV, I was actually news director my senior year. And I was on Crossfire a couple times, and I feel like they always let me win just because I was like the news guy. So I feel like we should keep that trend going tonight. Just going out there. Just wanted to throw that out there, see if it sticks.
So we'll see if we get another one of those wins tonight, though. And Becca, why don't we finish this off?
All right. My name is Becca Rushworth. I work at Longhorn Network in Austin. I run the social media account for Longhorn Network, and I also work on studio content. I graduated. I just realized I am the oldest here. I graduated in 2013 from Texas, did TSTV my freshman year. And I will say it is very weird for people to call Jon Scott just Jon. He was always Jon Scott.
Yeah, you got to do both names, man. You got to do both names.
You got to get it right.
Well, it's funny because everybody here, everybody has kind of a connection, similar graduating classes. Becca and Jon Scott has been around the time. And Mark and Jonathan, I know at the same time. I came a year, I'm pretty sure, right after Mark graduated, and me and Jonathan were kind of the first show I ever went on was Crossfire, and the host was Jonathan Polasek himself. So I've been learning from some great hosts, and I've heard great stories about Mark's hosting years and stuff. So very excited to have all you guys. Thank you for coming on. Before we got on live, we were talking about how work has been for you guys in the quarantine right now. So why don't you, give a little peek about how work's been for you guys. How you guys have been adjusting overall to quarantine and everything. If anybody wants to hop in and just explain what's been going on.
I guess I can hop in and start. I mean, I just started my job here, like I said, 6 weeks ago, and they gave me 3 weeks of training, which was very nice, very helpful. But it was pretty much after those first 3 weeks, they're like, okay, well, it's quarantine time. Everybody's got to go work from home, so we're just going to be working from home. So that's what I got to do. I had to not only adjust to working in a newsroom and everything like that, but also adjust to trying to navigate it from home, which was not very easy to start with. Technology issues will be the death of me, but we got it all working now, and it's been an interesting experience for sure. Just having to go out do interviews either over the phone or through video chat or stuff like that. It's been interesting is a very good word for me to use.
Awesome, thanks, Jonathan. Anybody else want to hop in?
So I'll start over in Connecticut. So we're obviously close to the hotbed that is New York. So I feel like Connecticut's taking it super serious. ESPN has been deemed an essential business. We are essential. So I have been going into the office. I have a letter that I have to show every time I show up to security. There's only like 300 of them. So you're kind of in the presence of a very important person right now. But no, it's been weird. Campus has been a ghost town. We have to sit far apart. We're wearing masks. But we're actually doing more TV than we did when there wasn't, quarantine going on. Like we've been doing 2 hours of TV a day, and there's sports. Like we start our show with, here's what coronavirus has impacted today. It's like, this is canceled, this is canceled, this is canceled. So it's been very interesting just trying to come up with ideas for the show. But yeah, it's been interesting being here, working in sports when no sports are going on.
Yeah, I think that's the main line right there. We're trying to work in sports while live sports are going on. But there's still enough stories to talk about these days and everything. Becca, Mark, would you guys like to share?
Yeah, just like Jon, we're both with ESPN. I'm in the LHN division. We are not quite deemed essential, so we're all working remotely, but our group is working, like our Austin group, and also ESPN Technology is just doing a great job of providing us the ability to work from home. So for those that are working from home, it's awesome. Like, we can edit from home. I don't know if I can say that, but that's like a game changer. I might not come back into work again if I can edit from home, to be honest. That is not something everyone knows.
That's great, honestly. Mark?
Well, it's nice that it's easy for you to edit from home, Becca, because for me, it's terrible. It's like everything is super choppy. It's like a normal 5 seconds of like a soundbite takes 30 seconds to listen to. So it's been really bad. At least maybe it's just the software that my company has compared to ESPN. But yeah, now we are not doing sports any longer. One thing our community is our station's trying to do are my station's on the border of Michigan and Indiana, so we're called Michiana, and we're trying to do Team Michiana stories. So we've got all hands on deck trying to find those types of stories of like just giving people hope. We're not doing too much of sports. Every now and then, like we'll have the NFL draft next week, so some Notre Dame guys will get drafted. So we'll obviously have coverage of that, and a local kid from a local high school is going to get drafted as well. So we'll have coverage of that, but it's just right now, it's just all hands on deck for coronavirus coverage and giving the community hope in a time where there's just not a lot of it,
Of course, totally understand. And we almost are going to go. We're almost ready with the show, but quickly, we've been doing it every social distancing episode. I've always been getting good suggestions from the panelists. We need your quick show or movie suggestion that you've watched right now while you've been in quarantine. If you have anything, just anybody throw someone out.
I did not hear that. I'm sorry.
A movie or TV show suggestion.
Oh, Tiger King, obviously.
Of course.
I
mean, if you haven't watched that yet.
With Joel McHale, but that was great. That was fantastic.
That was really, really funny. Everybody else?
I'll just throw out The 100. It's on Netflix. It's a kind of like a sci-fi adventure type TV show. It's very addicting if that's the kind of stuff that you're into watching, which I am. And so, yeah, The 100 for sure.
What's interesting is I actually watched the show called 100 Humans. It's kind of like Mythbusters, but it's you got 100 people on one space and they test them in all these, trying to prove these myths. Not necessarily bust myths, but prove them. And I got addicted to it. I already finished it. It was really good, only 8 episodes, and it's a quick, easy watch. So I definitely recommend 100 Humans.
And I'll top it off. We just watched a movie called Molly Game. It's about Molly Balloon, who ran an underground league. That's based on a true story. That was pretty good. And Can't Go Wrong with Ozark. Season 3, pretty fire.
Yeah, I mean, those are all great suggestions, and I can't wait to watch some of them I haven't seen yet. We are about to go live, so very excited to hear everyone and talk, and yeah, very excited. Stay tuned.
All right, Zach, let's start off in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Miranda Ellis wins big. Down goes the XFL again. And some TSTV legends are here tonight to share some wisdom. All this and more on College Crossfire.
Oh my gosh, it's still there.
Let's go.
I know my audio's probably still on, but oh my gosh.
Has it changed at all?
It has not changed. This is phenomenal.
Oh my gosh. I have this on my Mac. Please tell me I'm
This
so
is my
obvious
ringtone.
in there. Really? You have it as your ringtone?
No.
Oh my god.
Well, that was a great throwback right there. But welcome back into College Crossfire, the hottest debate show on the 40 acres. I'm your host, Zach Leff, and we are back for our third social distancing show. Tonight we have some familiar faces joining us as some of our favorite TSTV sports alumni for the College Crossfire round. Despite there still being no one sports on, the panel has plenty of topics to debate. Now let's meet the panel. On first base, we have Jonathan Polasek. Jonathan, how does it feel to be back?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, it's been it seems like it's been longer than the 1 year it actually has been, but I'm just very happy to be here and like you said, see some familiar faces and let's get started.
Awesome. On second base, we go from one former College Crossfire host to another, Mark Skol. Mark, how are you feeling?
Zach, if I was doing any better, it wouldn't be fair to anybody else.
Oh, classic.
On third, we have Becca Rushworth. Becca, how does it feel to be back on TSTV? Maybe it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. I was never really on TSTV when I was at TSTV, and that was definitely an inside joke that I do not get. But
awesome. And at home, we have Jon Scott. Jon, how does it feel, and how are you doing in Bristol?
We're good. It's been like 6 years since I've been in TSTV, but I'm ready to bring it. Hope these guys brought their arguments because I'm going to be coming in hot.
Love to hear that, and I'm very excited and great, and good luck to everyone. Late last week, it was announced that Miranda Ellis was named National Player of the Year. She had an 11-3 record, a 1.25 ERA, and threw her second career perfect game. She was the driving force behind a historic season for the Longhorns, which saw them finish third in the final rankings with a 24-3 record. So, what are your thoughts on Ellis being named National Player of the Year? Jonathan, let's start with you.
I mean, I think it's really no question in my eyes. I mean, I may be a little bit biased considering where I went and where everybody else on this panel went, but I think Miranda Ellis was deservedly the Player of the Year. I mean, you got a 1.25 ERA. You're going up against some of the biggest and toughest schools in the country, Washington, UCLA, and then not only that with her pitching, but also with her hitting. I mean, 4 home runs, 19 RBIs, a 370 batting average. I mean, she was literally the do-everything player for Texas. And when I say do everything, I literally mean do everything. And I'll say do everything again because that's what she was. I mean, she was an unstoppable force on the mound, in the box, and just the heart and soul of this team this year. And she's been the best pitcher that Texas has had since Blair Luna in the early 2010s, and she might even top Blair Luna just because of her hitting prowess, and might be kind of creeping up there on Kat Osterman. Not saying she is, but she's getting there. If next year goes the same way that this year has, got a good shot.
Yeah, those are all great points, and I mean, she's an absolute stud. Mark?
I think the thing it says the most is that, as Joe Tessitore said back in the day, Texas is back, folks. I think Texas now has a great softball program under Mike White. Obviously, he brought Miranda Ellis from Oregon with him. So I think it just shows that Texas is on the right path. When I was a student from 2014 to 2018, that seemed like the softball team had all this talent all these years, but they were never able to put it together. Now that they finished the season as the number 1 team in the country, they get the National Player of the Year, and she also threw a perfect game in the last game of the Texas season. I think that's super impressive, and it just shows Texas softball is back.
Yeah, definitely. Miranda Ellis, a big part of the reason why they finished number 1 in the final rankings. Jon Scott?
Well, one, Texas's back is like 3 years old, so I don't really know that back. Number 2, love Miranda. She's great. Hook 'em horns. Texas is back. You played half a season. right? We played half a season. Who cares? She probably wants a national title. Does National Player of the Year mean anything when do they play even conference games? Like, does this award? I don't feel like this award means anything. Honestly, yeah, she's a stud. She's great. She's talented. She throws no hitters. She hits bombs. Does it matter?
So
I think rather she gets her senior year back. That's great.
Becca,
The whole team come back and try to win the national title. I think they'd rather be playing in Oklahoma. They didn't play any Big 12 conference games.
he's right.
I don't think the award means much.
So I was trying not to interrupt because we're on a delay, but I will support some of Jon Scott's notes. They finished number 1 in Softball America, and she was a Softball America National Player of the Year for the shortened season. But within that shortened season, they played the number 1 team, the number 2 team. She finished the season on a perfect game, like Jonathan said. But she is amazing. The fact that her final game, if they didn't approve the eligibility, was going to be a perfect game, that's awesome. She is a stud. She is at home right now, probably practicing in her basement because she has a softball mound in her basement, and she's only going to get better. She's only going to get better. I stand Miranda Ellis. We all should. She should have a statue. 40 should be retired. I mean, Kat Osterman should have the retirement first, but she has revitalized Texas softball. So has Mike White. Also, her walk-up song is "It's Tricky," and that's my go-to karaoke song. So, Miranda Ellis, I stand.
I also just want to go ahead.
But we played half a season, and we understand she had a great half season. I understand that. But we can look at the NBA. Everyone thought Giannis was going to be MVP. Then LeBron, the last back half, played out of his mind, and now there's a discussion. How do we know if someone else in the last 27, 24 games could have taken over? Maybe she goes on a slump. Maybe she goes over the moon. We don't know either way. I feel like they shouldn't have even given out an award when you play half a season. That's my take. No matter how impressive her stats are.
I just want to say it's like
Jonathan, I know you want to go ahead, Jonathan.
Well, I'm just going to say, so this is what we've got. We've got half a season worth of games to go on, and so I think you should be able to judge. I mean, half a season, it's not nothing, and she absolutely played out of her mind. But I agree that okay, what if she did slump? But what if she doesn't? We can only judge her on what she's done, and what she's done this season, because that's what it's going to be. This season has been nothing short of phenomenal.
Well, watch, those were all great answers, guys, and I would love to talk more, but we're going to have to move on now. But watch, after this round, the score, everybody's going to have 3 points. So Jonathan, Mark, Jon Scott, and Becca all have 3 points after great rounds. We're going to move on, though. We're going to move on to the next point. Next Thursday, the 2020 NFL Draft will take place online as some of the top college players will be selected to play in the National Football League. This year, the Texas Longhorns have some intriguing prospects entering the draft, including safety Brandon Jones, defensive lineman Malcolm Roach, and the dynamic wide receiver duo of Colin Johnson and Devin Duvernay. So, which Longhorn gets taken off the board first in this year's draft? Mark, we're going to start with you.
I'm going to have to go with Brandon Jones here. I don't think he's the best player out of all of those Longhorns who are entering the draft, but I think this draft is completely stacked with wide receivers. I cover Notre Dame football, and there's a Notre Dame wide receiver, Chase Claypool, who should be, like, no doubt about it, a first-round draft pick. And I've seen in some draft picks or in some mock drafts where he's a first-round pick, and I've seen where he's a third-round pick. And in my opinion, he's way better than Duvernay and Johnson. I think Duvernay could end up being a guy that someone picks early on as well. But I just think there's just too many wide receivers in this draft, and it's a weak safety class. So I think that gives Brandon Jones an edge. So I'm going to have to roll with Brandon Jones.
Awesome. Brandon Jones, absolute stud at the safety position. Jon Scott?
So the last time Texas had a first-round pick, my boy JP had a beard. Texas apparently wasn't even back because that was so long ago. But I think the easy answer is Duvernay. He's clearly the most talented player Texas had on the offense. I think Ellinger is nothing without Duvernay. You thought Colin Johnson was going to be a stud, but he was obviously hurt. Duvernay has the total package. We currently have him going to the Rams, basically replacing Brandon Cooks, which I think would be good. Jared Goff can't, those little dumpers, which we saw Duvernay can catch and run, which is great. Plus, I picked him in college fantasy, because I had Colin Johnson had to release him because he did not play very well, and I won a couple games because of him. So Duvernay's my man.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't have thought before the season started that Devin Duvernay would be getting some more accolades instead of Colin Johnson, especially where Colin Johnson was projected to be in some mock drafts before the college football season started. Becca?
I do agree. I think Devin Duvernay will be the first Longhorn to go off the boards. He's fast. He's very fast. He almost caught 200 passes this year, or he did. I forget. It was during the Thanksgiving game, and I kind of had a lot of work. But he was great. He's like the new net hands, like Jordan Shipley. Whenever I was going to school, was net hand. Like you throw it in his vicinity, he's got it. Low drop pass, no drop passes, 0. Well, maybe 1. It's Duvernay. Duvernay is going to be the first one.
Duvernay all the way, I see there. Jonathan?
Yeah, as much as I'd like to say Devin Duvernay, I'm probably going to have to agree with Mark and go with Brandon Jones. I just think Mark kind of covered what I was going to say. It's just an incredibly deep wide receiver class. And Brandon Jones is a fairly high-ranked safety in this year's draft. I mean, again, I don't see him going at least until the 3rd round, and that's the very earliest. Probably not before that, or probably not even in the 3rd round. But I don't know. I mean, teams they're gonna look at Duvernay and they're gonna see just the phenomenal ability to catch in a tight space. Colin Johnson, just his freak nature ability, just with his size and his just athletic ability. But for whatever reason, I just think it's going to be Brandon Jones. It's kind of just a hunch that I have. I don't know. Like I said, I just kind of have to agree with Mark. There's just too many other elite wide receivers that are coming out of this year's draft.
Well, you know what? I mean, right now it looks like that the clear point here is that Brandon Jones might get taken over Devin Duvernay, depending on where the wide receiver market is in the draft. We'll see if Duvernay, he could get selected higher if teams are worried that he might come off the board, or maybe he'll drop depending if teams are thinking they can wait on him. But after that round, we have Jonathan with 5, Mark with 5, Becca with 5, and John with 6. So we move on. John's not with 6. Let me correct that right. We move on, though. Tomorrow the NBA Horse Challenge will continue on ESPN at 8 p.m. Central Time as the Final 4 players battle it out to be crowned the Quarantine Horse Challenge champion. Last week, we saw Devin Booker take home the NBA 2K Challenge championship, was also broadcast on ESPN against the host other NBA talent. So, are the 2K and horse challenges the beginning of socially distanced sports? Jon Scott, we're starting with you.
Man, I hope not. That horse tournament we put on TV was brutal. I know who put that on TV. It was brutal. And it sucks because it depends, like we are right now, on people's Wi-Fis and stuff. Some WNBA laggy, Chris Paul, it's tough. We understand it right now because we're in this time, but like 2 weeks down the road, maybe a month down the road, be like, okay, cool. The coolest part about horse, there were 2 things I learned from horse. One, the coolest part was like the cribs portion where Conley's like, hey, look at my mural behind me, or Paul Pierce lives next to a castle. Like, that's just like load in on that. Like, oh, look at all my cool stuff. And then secondly, like the whole NBA is like, I was just saying, Conley had a whole gym and Tamika Catchings is outside in her driveway. And it's just like, that's not fair. Like, why are they competing? She's like, it's 30 degrees in Indiana. I'm like, I'm just trying to hit a layup. And Mike Conley's like, it's 85 degrees in my gym. I'm balling. Like, it wasn't fair. So that's just my take. I was not super thrilled. I'm glad we did it, but I hope that is not what this comes to.
Yeah, no, definitely got an inside look of some of the houses and some of the places that these players live. Becca?
So it was not the beginning of social distancing sports because we had video games, we have esports, and we also have dog shows. Dog shows don't require you to be around other people. Get rid of the fans. Socially distance yourself from the dogs and the dog owners. And then you have dogs, and that's the greatest part. Dogs on TV. All day.
Yeah, like you've been saying, I think the big point also, you love the dogs, but esports has also been around for a while, and that's the definition. You can social distance right there. Jonathan?
I mean, really, if you want sports to come back and you don't necessarily want the fans there just because we're worried about the coronavirus, which is a very real threat. I just have the athletes play and make sure make sure that they're all healthy and don't test positive. But two, and if you really want the effective fans there, just put the cardboard cutouts in the stands like you see in those old video games. Come on, I want my sports back. I want actual games, as entertaining as horse and the 2K was. It's like I want to see some actual NBA games, NFL games, and especially MLB. But yeah, if you have to, I'd go with the cardboard cutouts in the stands. Come on.
Get at least somebody in the background there. Mark?
I know Jon Scott said he doesn't like it. I kind of loved it because I am like right now I'm living by myself. I've not seen any humans in 30 days. It stinks. So any kind of sports coverage that is on, I'm loving it. I watched the KD Derrick Jones Jr. 2K game last Friday. It was not that great, but it was something. And I think just having something right now is just great for me. And I think it is the start of socially distant sports. I've been listening to Fauci a lot, and he sounds like that there could be MLB season, could be PGA, but without fans. And I'm fine with it. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to be something. And right now, people just need something, at least I do. And I think just having something just kind of just gets people looking forward to things and gets people feeling a little bit more optimistic about themselves. So I just hope some sports are coming back.
Yeah, I think the key word statement was something. And it looks like that so far they have at least been putting out some type of entertainment for fans. And this is clearly, in a sense, gearing towards maybe the younger demographic there. Jon Scott, did you have something to say?
No, I was just saying, Mark, keep watching ESPN. You're keeping me as an essential employee. So if you love it.
There it is. So after that round, we have Jonathan with 7, Mark with 8, Becca with 7, and Jon Scott with 8. We move on to the last question of the round, though. Last week, it was announced that the XFL would be most likely shutting down its doors, and not just for this season, but for good, as the corona pandemic forced the league to action to stop. This is the second straight spring league to shut down, as the AAF canceled its league before the end of its first season. So my question is there any way another professional football league can survive in America? Becca, you're going to start.
Personally, I think the XFL was it. You have the sport of football, you have the storytelling and drama of WWE from Vince McMahon. You have all this access that ESPN and Fox were given. Like, you saw some of those storylines unfold, and that was just great. I think if football does come back, it has to come back in a similar, if spring football comes back, it has to come back in a similar format with all this access and storytelling. Nothing's going to rival the NFL. And I think whatever conference comes back knows that they're not going to rival the NFL. So they have to support and find another niche audience. And I think the XFL, I think they can come back. I mean, they filed for bankruptcy, but we're all doing bailouts, so why not? I think the XFL will come back, though.
Yeah, I think the key word, like you said, they did provide something new with the access on the field, and that might be intriguing and lead to maybe a future rise again of the XFL. We'll have to just see. Third time maybe the charm eventually. Jonathan?
Yeah, it's gonna have to for sure be in the mold of the XFL. The AAF was it wasn't entertaining. The XFL, very entertaining. Yeah, I would go and watch the what out of that if it were to come back. So I mean, there's just so much more going on that you can't necessarily see in an NFL game. And I mean, they were doing fine. It just so happened that this pandemic struck, and it's like it's done to so many other businesses and places all around the country and around the world. It's just shut everything down. I mean, I think if you don't have this virus running around, who knows? XFL is probably still going pretty strong, and because it's like I said, it's that entertainment factor. People want to see the chaos, and it's controlled chaos, but it's chaos, and that's what people like more than anything.
Yeah, I agree with all those points right there, Jonathan. Mark?
No. Another professional football league cannot survive in America. The fact that Mark Trestman got a job as a head coach making just under $1 million a season coaching is just crazy to me. He's like the worst coach I've ever seen. The fact that he's walking along the sidelines as a head coach is just absurd. And the fact that I know Gerard Hurd had a crazy game against Cal and at DKR back in, I believe that was 2016. But the fact that I'm seeing him on a football field again, I don't want to see him anymore. He was not that great. I don't want to watch bad football players. Yes, PJ Walker, he's probably going to get a roster. He got a roster spot, but he's not going to play. He's not going to play. These guys are not going to make a difference in any other league. It's just people wanting football. I don't like watching bad football. I don't need the XFL.
Just addressing that first point, hashtag salty Bears fan.
Ooh, yes, with the Trestman point. I mean, watch, we had 2 yays, 1 nay. Jon Scott, where are you going?
Well, let's go back to that Gerard Hurd Texas game. He went off, but we missed an extra point to lose the game.
Yeah.
That was Nick Rose's fault. That was not Gerard Hurd.
The kicker in
not
the XFL.
Gerard Hurd's fault. You leave Gerard alone.
No,
An excellent man.
The XFL. It's what it is. Like, I agree with Mark. I don't think we've seen multiple opportunities for this to happen. It just isn't. You don't care about these players. It's great the first week to see, oh, is this cool? Oh, they're interviewing players on the field. It's so cool. And then after a while, I mean, we saw ratings drop because the coolest thing everyone just saw on Twitter was the beer snake. Like that wasn't even on the field. And how many players did you see from the XFL join NFL rosters? There's only been a couple. So like I agree with Mark. We don't care about these players. They were great in college. Ooh, Cardell Jones, he was great, but he couldn't make it in the NFL, and that sucks. But NFL is where the best players are at. So I think the NFL, with having the best players, is going to continue to just knock out these smaller leagues.
Yeah, I mean, the springtime seems to be an opportunistic time, but they just haven't figured out a way to grab the audience enough right there. So after this round and this first segment, we have Jonathan with 9, Mark with 10, Becca with 9, and Jon Scott with 10. When we come back, the panel will provide us with some of their favorite stories from their time at TSTV, including what was their favorite moment, what their favorite moment was, and how the TV station impacted their lives moving forward.
They're going to bring it back. Coach, how do you think he's going to motivate this team?
Texas football finishes the regular season on top. Texas volleyball secures their spot in the tournament, and Texas basketball is off to an impressive start.
Every year, Texas and OU fans are split down the middle at the Cotton Bowl here in Dallas. This year, the game wasn't as even.
Signature basketball question of this network. Is Shock on the hot seat? Of course he's on the hot seat.
Freshman Skylar Fields, who stepped up and twisted 9 kills and 3 blocks, making it seem as though she is about to play her.
All this and more coming up on College Press Box.
You're watching a live sports presentation of Texas Student Television.
Good evening and welcome to the Chaparral Ice Center here in Austin, Texas. A late season rivalry on the lacrosse field. It's Longhorn lacrosse on TSTV.
With his legs, Texas picks it up. Ref says play on. And the try is good. Hiller looking for Longhorn. Goal! So the offense for Texas being aggressive, and it pays off right there with Sal Balone.
Welcome back into College Crossfire. Let's quickly recap the score. We have Jonathan with 9, Becca with 9, Mark with 10, and Jon Scott with 10. But remember, it's still anybody's game. Now, for this part of the show, our panel will be giving our viewers and the young TSTV sports staff some advice and stories from their experience at the station. It will come in a combination of our usual B block with a little rapid fire element thrown in there. So my first question is very simple. What was your favorite moment from your time at TSTV? Jonathan, let's start with you.
I think my favorite moment was obviously when Matt was the assistant sports director. He was in charge of running this show. It may have been, I think it was like prior to the show, like the actual show starting. We were doing like auditions for the Crossfire host. I believe Mark was a junior going into a senior year. I auditioned anyways. But then I was also on the show, and so I am notorious for wearing a fishing shirt when I'm on College Crossfire as a panelist, and obviously that hasn't changed today. But I retired the fishing shirt, I think, on that show because Reese Miller was the host at the time, and he always made note of it. And so we hung it up like we did with the jerseys. And then I wasn't doing very well during the show. And so I think it was in the middle of either the A block and the B block or the B block and the C block that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to change shirts. So I just grabbed the shirt off the hanger and just put it on over my long sleeve shirt. And I could hear Matt Adams yelling through our floor director's headset. Like, that's how loud and eager and mad he was, because he was losing his mind. I'm like, that's a proud moment right there. I love it.
That's a great moment right there. Mark?
For me, it's actually kind of ties to my job now. The first ever college football game I covered for TSTV was the Texas Notre Dame game in South Bend in 2015. It was a terrible game, 38-3. Notre Dame won. The longest play the Longhorns had from scrimmage all night was a 48-yard pass to John Burt, so it was terrible. But it was like my first time covering a big-time college football game in a huge environment. We thought Texas could end up being something special that year. They obviously weren't. But it was just covering that game was just like, wow, like I'm in the house that Rockne built. And the fact that's really cool about it now, that was the first college football game I ever covered. And now I'm in there every Saturday in the fall. So it's just kind of cool that that's kind of where my start got off for TSTV. And that's now where I've started off my career. So that's kind of my favorite moment. And then, of course, I covered the game the next year for TSTV as well, which was a lot more fun to cover, a lot hotter. But it was very fun. It's kind of just crazy how small world this is and how it worked out like that for me. So that's my favorite moment.
Seems to be a pretty surreal moment right there. Jon Scott?
Cool. So obviously number one was meeting my beautiful wife at TSTV.
Good.
We're so cute. But no, but seriously, my favorite moment from TSTV is actually our wedding, because Becca was there. Our entire wedding, there was a ton of TSTV people. It was basically a TSTV reunion. It was so cool to see everyone and just have everyone there, smiling, have a good time. And that was just because of all the friendships we made while we're at TSTV, and we've all stayed in touch throughout the year. So it was just kind of great to have a moment like that where everyone was together and celebrating. So it just kind of came full circle, really, because obviously, you know, my wife did it for 4 years, I did it for 4 years, everyone there did it for 4 years. So it was just great to see everyone having a good time, and just kind of made you realize, like, you know, while TSTV was a great, you know, work experience, it also was where your best friends came from. So it was just a great, wonderful time.
Awesome. That's a great moment right there. Becca?
Yes, I was actually drinking from my John and Kaylee cup earlier today, so I should have brought that on here. Yeah, I was gonna say, if Jon Scott did not say meeting Kaylee, we should deduct points, but he definitely did say that.
She's with like a thing by my side, so we're good.
I accomplished a lot, not to flex too hard, but I accomplished a lot at TSTV. And so my favorite moments are, of course, friends, but the ones that stick out in my mind that I could only do with TSTV are the 2009 National Championship. Unfortunately, it did not go the way it should have. And rushing the field after Justin Tucker kicked the game winner on Kyle Field. I was shooting that for TSTV. That was pretty awesome.
That's an amazing moment. And honestly, every one of your moments was amazing, and a moment that I wish I could have been a part of at the same time. But
Texas was good when I was there, y'all. Well,
yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. With this question, though, I think there's a clear answer, despite the moments all being fantastic. I think Jon Scott's gonna get the point here. I mean, meeting the one he ended up marrying, and then just the memories that you had, the understanding that even years and years go by and you still met the great people that you were able to meet at TSTV and have them at your wedding. So Jon Scott, you're going to get the point, but every memory there was great. On to the next question. During one's time at TSTV, there seems to be a list of accomplishments and goals that everyone wants to achieve, from their first on-air experience to directing a show to even learning what a SOT and VO are. So, what is your proudest moment while you were at TSTV? Mark, let's start with you.
I've got two proud moments. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. My first, one of my proudest moments was the first time I went on College Crossfire. I remember I was so nervous. I was shaking beforehand. I had all my notes written down on note cards, and I was just shaking. My hands were shaking the entire time. Remember, Jeff Barker was the host. He was obviously very welcoming and very nice to me on my first time. Thomas Bingham and Addison Stahl were also on the show, but I was just so nervous. I look back at that now, and I was so bad. It was hilarious just how bad I was, and it was just, for me, like, I had a lot of people telling me, like, oh, like, go into computer science, go into something else, go into something where you'll make more money. But that was kind of me putting both of my feet in, diving off the high dive, and just saying, all right, I'm going all for it. I'm going for this career, and it was kind of the start of something special. So I'm kind of just glad that I did that. That's one moment I was proud of. And then another moment I was proud of, our first TSTV game day at the Cedar Park Center, now the HEB Center in Round Rock. We did a Texas game day with Texas hockey, and I was just on the soundboard. And I remember I took a selfie. I was just so proud just to be a part of a team. Brooks Cabina leading the charge. It was just so much fun. And I remember I was just so excited to be a part of a really fun group, and it ended up being a very special 4 years. So those are my two proudest moments at TCP.
Those are both great moments right there. Jon Scott?
My proudest moment is a moment that only I can have done and probably will hold till the end of time, but I am the one and only Mr. TSTV. I won the Mr. TSTV pageant. I represented KVR News, put the team on my back, put the news department on my back, and showed all these wonderful departments that I am Mr. Congeniality. I got the smile, the looks, won it all. Yeah, that's right. Smiles is Mr. Congeniality.
There you go.
No, I sang my heart out. I danced my butt off. I think I killed Johnny Kramer in one of my answers, and that was what put me over the top as Mr. TSTV, and that is a title that I will forever hold and will continue to put on my resumes for the rest of the time.
That is something to be very, very proud of. Becca?
I put on that pageant, so that would not have happened without me.
That's all.
But what I'm my proudest moment is when I was station manager. It's more of a business thing. We were in the black. We were in the black at the end of my financial year, and it's from recruiting, having people sign up to do the TSTV classes. Shout out to Yumi Park. We hit that goal 185%. We had like too many people sign up for classes, and it overloaded the front desk. So I think y'all have to sign up digitally now. And then our productions team produced a lot of content and did a lot of productions, adding into that budget. And it's one thing when back in my day we were rivals with Daily Texan, and Daily Texan was losing a lot of money because they were printing, and print was not yet. I mean, it was more so dying, and they were still printing a lot. And TSTV was able to help TSM, stay in the black and stay above. We help support Daily Texan. We help support the other Texas student media entities, and running with, sorry, there was a side note in the chat, but I wanted to also go on into, I also wanted to create an environment when I was station manager that would bring everyone in to the station. The station kind of seemed a little fractured. It wasn't, no one was really there at the time. So I was buying furniture it was like free furniture for the university, but I was just trying to make an environment where everyone would want to be there and everyone would be happy to hang out. So I was most happy when others were there. And I would also like to note that with that recruiting message, y'all other ones probably wouldn't be there, except for John. But everyone else in here probably wouldn't be. Probably recruited to someone who recruited you. Just letting you know.
That's a great answer, Becca. Jonathan?
Flexing.
Well, my answer is pale in comparison to both of those last two, obviously. But for me, it was like so. I didn't start at TSTV until my spring semester of my freshman year. I didn't really. I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to go about it, get into it, and everything like that. And so I had someone. She brought me in the very tail end of the fall semester, just kind of get a look and see how sports are run, TSTV sports. And so I did, and immediately signed up for the following semester, and got on my first Crossfire show. Reese Miller was the host, and I just like was just that show. I mean, I love College Press Box, I love Game Day, but Crossfire, like that was the show that I gravitated towards the most. I mean, I think in my time, my 2.5 years where I was able to be a panelist, I think I was on probably more than anything. But I knew like from day one, like from that first show, it's like I want to sit where Reese is sitting. I want to be the host of this show. I want to mold it in my own image, kind of input my personality because I feel like that this would be the best way not to help me move forward in my career. I want to be a part. I want to do broadcast television, and I feel like the only way that I can get better is to showcase my personality and try and be on screen as much as possible so that I can sharpen my craft and just continue to work and get better at it. And I mean, fast forward 2.5 years, and there I am, my senior year, following in the footsteps of Mark Skol. I was able to come on, be the host of College Crossfire, and it was just an absolute blast to do that and leave my lasting image there, and just kind of, like I said, put my stamp on the show and continue to work at my craft and it's gotten me to where I am today, and without it, I wouldn't be in the position that I currently am right now.
Yeah, I mean, as a former panelist of you hosting the show, you did a great job, obviously, hosting the show for your year as the College Crossfire host. And I mean, all these memories were great. And honestly, this is an extremely hard one to choose from. But I'm going to go with Becca. She kind of flexed on everybody. She kind of said that couldn't have done without her. And she basically said that you guys couldn't have your experiences without her recruiting. And the story of bringing everybody together and everything there was really good. So, Becca, you're going to get the point there. Now we're on to question number 3. All of you have become great examples of what could happen if you work hard and put forth a great effort at the TSTV station. So, in your opinion, how has TSTV propelled you in your career? Jon Scott, we're going to start with you.
Well, like we've all said, we wouldn't be where we are without TSTV. You learn more in day one than you probably do in your journalism classes. That's a great photo. Like you just learned. So that's another great photo.
I was so good at taking photos.
I learned how to be better on camera. I was on TSTV. No, no, you just learn so much, and TSTV is the ground floor for whatever you want to do. It is a great place to learn everything. You get so much experience, and it's just a great opportunity because you just get all this hands-on experience. You get to be in a control room. You get to work with other people. You get to work amongst your peers. We're by yourself. Like what's great about a student TV station is you're by yourself. Like you're making the decisions yourself. And the goal with TSTV is to get internships that turn into careers. So the way with TSTV is everyone sees what you do. They know you do good work that bounces you into internships. And what you do with those internships is what gets you into your career. So TSTV is just a great stepping stone just to get you towards your career.
That's a great answer right there, Jon Scott. Becca?
Definitely agree. TSTV gave me the basics for production, how to shoot, how to cut a VO, all of the stuff that was basic for if you want to get into the media industry. But what TSTV also allowed me to do was wear many hats. And that's something I really do a lot of at work. If it's coming to how to fundraise, that's not really something I do at work, but like fundraisers, making shirts to sell for Roundup, and then doing a man pageant because that's what women do in charge. I don't know. But networking is like one of the most important things when LHN launched, I was sports director at TSTV. I stayed in their ear about we want to get feedback about what we're doing because we want to do what you do. And I kind of stayed in their mind. I was never an intern because I put a lot of work into TSTV instead. But even if it was someone around who just remembered me, it's kind of how I got my job, was just being here, working hard to make the best of my situation at TSTV and to make TSTV look the best it could.
I couldn't agree more. That was a great answer. Jonathan?
I think it's really, it was, for me, it was all about getting the reps. I mean, you get so many opportunities to go out and cover so many games. And I mean, we were so lucky to be at a university where they've just got so many different athletic events going on, and not just from the big sports, but from the smaller sports that most people, most casual fans wouldn't even think to go and watch. Just being able to go out there and just cover different things, I think it really helps you grow as a writer, as a producer, as an editor. But also, I think what TSTV really did was it allowed you to make mistakes. And TSTV is a really good place, one, to learn, but two, to make mistakes. You can see, okay, this didn't work, or I did this wrong. Now I can use that. I can apply that in my internships. I can apply that in my jobs. And it's something that you take with you for the rest of your life. And I mean, I think in my very first stand-up that I think for my senior show for Press Box, my stand-up, I feel like, was 5 hours long. And I very quickly learned to not take forever with my stand-ups. And so that's the biggest thing for me, is that it allows you to make those kinds of mistakes. You learn from it, you grow from it, and you become a better broadcaster as a result.
Those were all really, really good points right there, Jonathan. Mark?
Jonathan, you stole my answer, so I'm kind of mad at you. I guess that's me making a mistake, not preparing a backup answer. But honestly, though, making mistakes, I mean, I can't tell you how many mistakes, how uncomfortable I was on TV, but it's all about the reps and getting those reps and getting more comfortable, and that's what TSTV did. But also, like going to those games and covering those big games, you're around people who do that as their job. And you get to see them doing it, and then you in turn get to do that as well. And you get to meet them, and you develop relationships with them, and then you go and get internships with those people, and then you meet people. It's just, there's so many things that TSTV did, not just from a experience perspective, but from a meeting people perspective, and reaching out and being able to branch out and connect with so many people. And I think that's how, in this business, and a lot of times you hear this, it's not about necessarily what you know, but who you know. And TSTV got you knowing a lot of people, not just in TSTV, but who are also working professionals at Longhorn Network, local TV stations, the Austin American Statesman. There's just so many opportunities to meet those people, and that's what really helps, I think. I got to meet Ernie Johnson covering the Final Four, and that was, I can't tell you how that helped me. Just meeting him, getting 20 minutes of his time just to talk with him. And I think that helped me the most, more than the experience, just reaching out and getting other people's feedback on what they did to get to where they are today. I think that's what helped me with TSTV the most.
Yeah, that was a fantastic answer as well as everybody's answer. And despite Jonathan maybe stealing your answer, Mark, I'm going to do something special here. I'm going to give Jonathan and Mark a point here. I think both your answers were fantastic. I think a big thing I got out of it was TSTV allows you a place to grow, and it gives you a place that you might fail at first, but it gives you a place to fail in order to succeed down the long run. So you both will get points there. Heading into the last question now, though. Finally, you are all some of the best alumni TSTV offer and have experience that is invaluable in your professions. So what advice would you give to current TSTV participants? Becca, let's start with you.
All right. Well, first of all, extra point to Mark because he had to make up that answer, right? I mean, it's true, but let's be real. My advice is to do it and to ask. The answer is always no if you don't ask. That's how I ended up at the national championship in 2009. I asked if I could go and I went. Some other one didn't ask. He got upset because he was more senior than me, but he didn't ask. I asked. So that's just an example of it. And again, this is the place to fail. Don't worry, they do great work here at TSTV. We've won a couple of championships and trophies and a lot of
we
awards.
don't really fail.
This
We
doesn't
don't
suck.
really fail.
This does not suck. But
We're talking more small mistakes, not necessarily.
yes, exactly. Like, this is your place, your chance to experiment. Like, could I put, how can I edit this? I'm thinking about like a montage I made, and I realized I didn't put any thoughts to it. It was just mainly music. Like, it's how you can experiment and grow. It's all about growing. It's all about hands-on experience. I mean, continue to do TSTV, and you do get out of it what you put in, and so you get to reap the awards.
Definitely. Great answer, Becca. Jonathan?
I think it would be try different things, cover different sports. Yes, you may be a big football fan. Go cover a swim meet. I had the opportunity, not at TSTV, unfortunately, but going out in one of my internships. It was for Longhorn Network to go out to a swim meet, and I didn't realize how much of a blast that was going to be. And I wish I had the opportunity to go out and do that. But it's just go try the different things, not only with reporting, try your hand at producing, kind of learn how that works, learn how the board works, so that if you want to become a director, you can do that, run the teleprompter, become stage manager, all of that sort of stuff. The more you know, the more skills that you learn while you're at TSTV, the better you are at being able to market yourself to future internships, future jobs, because you can already say, hey, I know how to do X, Y, Z, and I know how to do it well because I had so much time at TSTV to be able to learn this, and I can do one of many things for you. Yeah, okay, you don't need a reporter. Do you need a producer? Do you need an editor? I can do all of those things for you. I can do any of those things for you. So try everything you can. Anything that seems like it might be interesting, go ahead and do it. I mean, there's literally no risk. There's no harm in doing it. I mean, if you end up not liking it, okay, well, now you know that that's not something you want to do. But hey, you could end up loving it and be like, okay, I don't want to be a reporter anymore. I want to be a producer. So just it's really all about just trying everything and see what really suits you the best.
Again, those were all great points. Very valuable advice for young TSTV people. Mark?
I'm going to sound like a T-ball coach here, but just have fun. Seriously. I mean, you're covering sports. I mean, that's what it is. It's so much fun. Don't get stressed out about it. If your package doesn't look good, not a big deal at the end of the day. Just have fun. Like, seriously, you're covering sports. You're going out there and covering these awesome games. You're covering Texas OU in the Red River Shootout. You're covering a big game at the Drum. Like, this is so awesome. And then as a student, to get these opportunities, have fun with it. I mean, don't get stressed out too. In this business, it's so easy to get stressed out and get nervous and get want everything to be perfect. And I'm a perfectionist too. I always want everything to look the best it could possibly be. But at the end of the day, you got to have fun with it, because that's the most important thing. You got to have a good head on your shoulders, really enjoy what you're doing. And that's what will lead to the best work, in my opinion. So have fun with it. Give your best, like Becca said, is like always try to do as much as you can, but always make sure you're having fun with it, enjoying yourself. And one thing I also want to say too is be happy for other people's success too. I think a lot of times people were always competitive with each other and wanting to do better than the other person. But I always remember when I was trying out for Crossfire host, my sophomore year going into my junior year, I wanted it, but I knew Reese Miller was going to end up getting it. And I was so happy for him when he got it. And I think being part of a team too, I mean, you got to be just always happy for the other person and everyone else. When they do a good job, be happy for them. Be happy that they did a good job, because at the end of the day, these are going to be connections down the road. and people you're going to rely on possibly to get jobs in the future. So have fun with it, be kind, and just enjoy it, man.
That's a great answer, Mark, right there. Simply just have fun. Jon Scott, let's finish it out.
Cool. I got a couple for you. One, writing is very important no matter what you go into. So work on your writing, whether you're writing a story, writing a script, even writing a tweet. It is very important. That's one thing I wish I would have done at TSTV is kind of worked on my writing, because you never know when you're going to have to write something. You're covering a story, you got to write your own script. So work on your writing, work on making it short, concise, whatever you got to do, work on that. One thing it's already been said, but connections, this business is all about who you know. Be best friends with everyone. Meet everyone wherever you go, even if it's the only time you're going to be out there. Shake everyone. Don't shake everyone's hand. Do the elbow now. But meet everyone. Get contacts. Give people because those are going to lead to other stuff. You make a friend on Facebook that leads to an internship. You just never know. And the best thing I can say I kind of mentioned it earlier in my earlier answer, but TSTV is just a great stepping stone to get you to internships and to kind of further your career. And I've been lucky enough to kind of interview potential PAs that want to come work at ESPN, and everyone has I've been on camera, I've been sports director, I've done this, I've done that, but what puts you on top over that? Like, what projects are you working on? What's, if you want to be on camera, what different stories are you covering? What's stand-ups? Like, TSTV is a great opportunity. Like we've said, take risks, take these opportunities. Like, what are you doing that makes you stand out from every other sports director across the country or every other sports reporter? And TSTV gives you a great opportunity to do that, which will lead to internships, which then leads to your career. So just take advantage of every opportunity you possibly can.
Well, you know what? That was a great answer. And every answer tonight, before I announce the winner, every answer tonight was amazing. You guys provided invaluable information that I know everybody currently watching or will watch in the future will be thankful for. But we do have to pick a winner. And I'm going to go with the guy out in Bristol. Jon Scott, you are the winner tonight of the Alumni Show. Jon, you get FaceTime for this, so you get to say anything you want. Jon, take it away, my man.
First of all, Texas was never gone. They've always been back. Never left. Never lost. It was just a fluke. Cole McCoy doesn't get hurt. Don't get me started. That was a rant back in my other days. But no, everyone stay safe. Stay safe. It was great to do this. It was great to see old faces, meet new faces, and look forward to getting back to normal. So thanks for hosting this great event. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Jon. And on top of that, thank you to Jon Scott, Becca, Mark, and Jonathan. And congratulations again to Jon Scott as being the winner tonight. Thank you for tuning into the show tonight. Do not forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And from all the panelists, producers, and members of TSTV Sports, stay safe and have a wonderful rest of your week.